name is Dr. Emmanuel Maria from the Department of Political Science and Public Administration. Our lecture today will focus on two areas: organization structure and design, and the organization culture. I hope you will enjoy and learn a lot, and at the end of the day, you will be able to go and visit the literature or revisit the literature to enhance your knowledge on those two areas. Let us start with organization structure and design. Organization structure reflects the aim and objective, the size and the complexity of the undertaking, the nature of the expertise to be used, the preferred management and supervisory style, and the means of coordination and control. The structure of an effective organization must provide effective and suitable channels of communication and decision-making processes. Must also provide for the creation of professional and productive relationships between individuals and groups. Organization structure, therefore, or organizations are designed and structured in order to ensure efficiency and effectiveness of activities in accordance with the organization's stated targets. That means the structure are there to help an organization achieve its goals or set objectives. Provide or divide and allocate work. The structure of an organization should be able to help different individuals switch to certain position in an organization. So it helps to divide and allocate work, responsibility, and authority. It also helps to establish working relationships and the operating mechanisms. It further establishes patterns of managerial and supervision. Let me repeat this. It helps or establish patterns of management and supervision. Further, or additionally, it establishes the means by which work is to be controlled. The structure of an organization. For example, you have departments. Those are parts of the structure. You have directorates. Those are parts of the structure. So, they establish the means by which work is to be controlled. The director, for example, will manage departments. Departments will manage units. So, it establishes means by which work is to be controlled. It is easy. Indicate areas of responsibility, authority, and accountability. You easily know who is supposed to perform a certain task. The head of the department, the director, or a normal employee within a particular department. So it indicates areas of responsibility, authority, and accountability. Who is the boss here? Who is accountable to perform a certain task? Who is responsible? Further, it meets the expectation of those involved. If you have a structure, that means you know what you are supposed to do. Certain department, what is it supposed to deliver? So the expectation of those who perform those tasks are met. Provide the basis of fair and equitable reward system. Okay, if you have a structure, you know the director will be rewarded accordingly. If you are a normal employee in a certain position, junior position, the structure gives you a certain rewards. So it is easy. You know the reward system, it is fair, it is well known to everybody. Provide the basis for fair and equitable reward system. If you don't have structures, how do you reward employees? If all employees are the same, how do you differentiate them in terms of the reward system? So let us see different forms of structure. We have a tall structure. There are many different levels of ranks within the total. There is a long hierarchical and physiological distance between the top and bottom. Such structures have complex reporting relationships, operating and supporting system, promotion and career path, and differentiated job titles. For example, say a tall structure. From the chancellor to the junior employees, there are many positions in between. That's why we call it a tall structure. When we talk of organization structure, it's not something simple. They are big organizations with very complex structures. Think of that organization, big organizations like Apple. Think of organizations like IBM. Think of organizations in Tanzania here like CRDB. These are big organizations, huge organizations with different structures. So, that is what we call a tall structure. Complex. We have flat structures. There are few different levels or ranks within the total. Jobs tend to be concentrated at the lower levels. There are short hierarchical distance between the top and bottom. You have organizations which are almost two structures. The boss and the immediate boss. The employees finished. Those are flat structures. But tall structures, power is concentrated at the top. Then it is apportioned slowly to the bottom. Then we have centralized structure. Centralization is generally an authority relationship between those in overall control of the organization and the rest of its staff. The tighter the control exerted at the center, the greater the degree of centralization. The major advantage of centralization is that top management remains fully aware of the operation as well as strategic issues and concerns. Normally, government organizations are highly centralized, while business organizations or private organizations are less centralized. Let me give you an example. The open university, for example, you cannot easily go and say, I want certain payments, give me money. You will have to follow certain procedures. And there must be an authorized person at the top to authorize the discharge of that amount of money or funds. So, power to discharge or to give funds is concentrated at the center. So, government institutions are highly centralized, but with private organizations it is easy. The manager can just give a call, say, okay, pay that person. The structures are fewer, and power, a manager at the lower level can make decisions independent of the superior. They have discretion. They can make decisions and help the organization to have its operation smoothly. The operation of organization can be smooth. While it is very difficult for centralized organizations to be quick, fast in decision making, while those which are not highly centralized can easily make decisions. Then we have this concept of decentralizations. Departments and divisions are given necessary resources and authority to achieve their goals. With centralization, power is concentrated at the center. Too much power at the center. With decentralization, you have power and resources at the lower levels of organization. So, my friends, I would like to call upon you to go and revisit the literature on the concept of organization structure, different types of structure. I have mentioned few of them. I expect you to go and read a lot about all other forms of structure and the complexity nature of organization structure and how to create a structure of a particular organization. That is an assignment for you to do. Now, let us come to this important concept of organization culture. What is culture? Can you tell me what is culture? You hear every day culture. Some people will say, oh, these are cultural items. But what is culture? Culture has many definitions. Many definitions, more than 50 definitions. A lot of definitions. But I will introduce you to few definitions. Organizational culture is a constant factor that propels organizational development. Study of organizational culture and climate has become necessary to achieve change. Nowadays, culture is studied, organizational culture is studied by many scholars, and it has taken prominence in many organizations. Culture maintains quality of product and customer satisfaction are two important factors of a successful organization. A culture of an organization determines what services and products of which quality the organization gives to the environment. To attain the twin objective, companies must marshal various resources, plan its use over a period of time, and produce products or services which meet the consumer needs, desires, and aspirations. In real sense, that defines the culture of that particular organization. The most difficult task is to manage human resource. Should you understand? It's not easy. The organization has a number of resources. Has physical resources, has financial resources, and human resources. You can have all these resources, but if you don't properly manage human resources, then you are in trouble. It becomes even harder when employees are from different geographical areas with different cultures. Hence, it is important to have a culture of a particular organization. The culture, what is the culture of the Open University? What is the culture of CRDP? What is the culture of the Ministry of Education? What is the culture of your small private organization? It is very important to know the culture of your organization because it will shape how your organization performs, how your organization provides goods and services to the community. In such circumstances, managers should be able to evolve. Which circumstances? I said, employees come from different geographical areas with different cultures. So, in such circumstances, managers should be able to evolve techniques that help to establish strong organizational culture. When thinking and action of employees are institutionalized, an organizational culture is deemed to have taken birth. Okay? When all the actions, thinking of employees are institutionalized, then you think now you have an organizational culture. The culture of organization is born. The culture of an organization eminently influences its merits, decisions, and action. A company's prevailing ideas, values, and attitudes and beliefs guide the way in which its employees think, feel, and act, quite often unconsciously. The culture of an organization sometimes makes an employee act, behave accordingly without being pushed. You find yourself as an employee, you have a certain behavior which corresponds with the culture of that particular organization or your organization. Therefore, understanding culture is fundamental to the description and analysis of organizational phenomena. For some, culture is considered the glue that holds an organization together, and for others, the compass that provides direction to an organization. That is the importance of culture in an organization. It gives an organization direction. It puts people together. It brings people together because they share culture, they share values, attitudes, and beliefs. The most difficult task, there are but two of many such metaphors. I'm giving metaphors about organization culture. People talk a lot about organization culture. There are different metaphors about organization culture. For example, for some, culture is considered the glue that holds an organization together. For others, the compass that provides direction. For others, magnet. For others, lighthouse. For others, exchange regulator. For others, effect regulator. For others, need satisfier. For others, sacred cow. All these are metaphors to define organization culture. Exchange regulator, effect regulator, need satisfier, sacred cow. Illustrating that organization culture is indeed very important, but whose definition is slippery and often contested. I said, you have many organization culture. That's why we say the definition is slippery and often contested. You can come up with a definition, but it can be contested by others. For some people, culture is the total way of life. But others will contest that. What is that total way of life? Can you tell me the total way of life? Today you can behave this way. Tomorrow you behave totally different. What is that total way of life? British anthropologist Edward Taylor is widely credited with the first, this is 1871, modern definition of culture. That complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of the society. Undoubtedly, this definition influenced the shift toward current dictionary definitions. I will repeat. There is this British anthropologist known as Edward Taylor. He came up with the definition of culture. This was 1871. Okay, 1871, more than 100 years ago. He came up with this definition in inverted comma. That complex whole, which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of a society. Now you can impress, acquired by man as a member of an organization. So, he said, undoubtedly, this definition influenced the shift towards current dictionary definition. So, he influenced even what you see in the dictionary. So, there are many definitions of organization culture, as I said. Definition differs. People see organizational culture as almost as numerous as those of culture. You see, organization culture is also numerous and slippery as those definitions of culture. That means there are many definitions of organization culture. A 1998 study identified 54 different definitions within the academic literature between 1960 and 1993. I will repeat. A 1998 study identified 54 different definitions within the academic literature between 1960 and 1993. One helpful, though general, definition offered by Edgar Schein of MIT Sloan School of Management is that organizational culture is, kindly students listen carefully, organizational culture is a pattern of shared basic assumptions that the group learned as it solves its problem of external adaptation and internal integration that has worked well enough to be considered valid and therefore to be taught to new members as a correct way to perceive, think, and feel in relation to those problems. So, the longevity is very important here. For how long have you been practicing certain behavior? For how long have you been doing certain tasks? For how long is the organization implemented certain rules and regulations which are now considered part and parcel of the culture of that particular organization? So longevity is very important. I will repeat this definition again for you to take note. A pattern of shared basic assumption that the group learned as it solved its problems of external adaptations. So it is a learning process and it takes time. And internal integration that has worked well enough to be considered valid and therefore to be taught to new members as the correct way to perceive, think, feel in relation to those problems. So organization culture is not gone. It has to be invented and later developed over a period of time. If you are an organization, you must develop culture, the working culture, culture of keeping time, culture of working hard, but it will take time for your employees to adapt this type of culture. So organization culture is not gone. It has to be invented and later developed over a period of time. It enables employees to perform within the framework of organization culture. So, I said, within the framework of organization culture. That means, if they go out of that particular organization and join another organization, they will find a different culture, or slightly a different culture. How people behave, how people relate within a particular organization. The environment that is internal and external as well as demographic factors play an important role in developing the culture. That is why we refer to Japanese or Indian culture. It is therefore an environmental aspect in nature. Okay? The environment, geographical location, determines the type of culture or the culture of a particular organization. The culture of organization in Zanzibar may be a little bit different from the culture of organization in Tanzania mainland. The culture of Roman Catholic as an organization, the culture of Islamic religion as an organization, the culture of Protestantism is different from they are all different because of the environment, because of the internal and external environment within that culture belongs, or that culture, an environment which that culture belongs. So, close examination reveals that organization culture is informal in nature and related to shared ways of living. So, not necessarily that culture emanates from rules and regulations. Sometimes it is because of the norms, values that you are being practicing accidentally within the organization, but they have come to become norms. They are now part and parcel of that particular organization. It is a common binding factor in an organization. It puts you together. You can identify yourself as part and parcel of that particular organization because of values, beliefs, and attitudes that you share. Organization culture helps develop professionalism among its employees. Value system is therefore the cornerstone of an organization culture. It promotes standardization in various systems and subsystems, which reduce conflict to a great extent. Once a culture is developed, it virtually becomes a people's organization from the functional point of view that promotes risk-taking among managerial cadres and generates novel ideas. So you can have a culture of innovation, for example, whereby people are encouraged to innovate. It promotes formal communication that improves productivity and job satisfaction. For example, in the university environment, people sometimes call themselves doctor, professor. It promotes a certain type of communication which is different from other institutions. So, that brings certain level of satisfaction. I always joke, there are some professors or doctors, when you don't call them doctors or professors, they become unhappy. So when you call them doctors, professors, they are satisfied. They bring productivity, increase productivity in an organization. For example, India is multilingual. multi-religion, and multicultural society. Organizational culture promotes equality and work culture. That is an example. I'm giving an example of a society where, because of multilingual, multi-religion, and multicultural society, organizational culture promotes equality and work culture. Because you have people from different cultural backgrounds, different religious backgrounds. So it is imperative that an organization promotes equity, equality, and working culture. Why? Because if you don't do that, you have no chance of succeeding, because you will be isolating certain members of that particular society, that is India, which is multicultural, multilingual, and multi-religion. Therefore, the corporate culture consists of norms, values, and written rules of conduct of an organization, as well as management style, priorities, beliefs, and interpersonal behaviors that prevail. Together, they create climate that influences how well people communicate, plan, and make decisions. It is important, therefore, to understand that different organizations have different corporate culture. The culture of CRDB, for example, might be family-oriented. That may be different from the culture of NMB. What is the culture of the European University? What is the culture of the organization? Kindly explore and be able to identify the culture of the organization. Organization culture originates from the founders of an organization based on value system held by them. It is further passed on down the line. For example, the founder of Apple was hardworking. He promoted innovation. So the organization now has that type of culture of hardworking and innovative. It is based on innovation. Organizational culture is also a function of the nature of work and goals of an organization. So, goals, the type of work of an organization, will determine the type of culture of that particular organization. You all know, if you go to TANESCO, how employees of TANESCO behave. The culture of employees of TANESCO who operates or who do external activities is totally different from the culture of members of a university, for example. The type of work or activities they do, the nature of work, goal of that particular organization determine how people behave and hence their culture or culture of that particular organization. It is visible from the organization structure. Centralized command and control, strict hierarchy and strict communication are indicative of formal culture with little freedom of action and with scanty attention to innovation and creativity. So, a centralized culture, the structure of an organization can tell you what type of culture that organization or a particular organization embraces. If you are a centralized structure, then there is you are limited in terms of innovation. You are too formal. You can't think outside the box. That is likely to be the culture of a centralized organization. While a decentralized culture will promote autonomy that will lead to greater job satisfaction and innovation, because an employee has the freedom and discretion to make certain decisions instead of being programmed by the center. There is a scholar who is known as Waterman. He stated that, without exception, the dominance and the coherence of culture prove to be an essential quality of the excellent company. So culture, a good culture will promote an excellent company, will make a company successful, and therefore a company will be able to achieve its objectives. Moreover, the stronger the culture and more it was directed toward the marketplace the less need will therefore police, manuals, organizational charts, and detailed procedures and rules. Let me clarify here. When you have a culture which leans toward marketplace, there is more freedom to deal with the market rather than having policies, manuals, and organization charts and detailed procedures and rules. Detailed procedures and rules mostly are found in mostly on state organizations or government organizations or bureaucratic organizations. Business organizations are more flexible and hence less rules and procedures. In those companies, people way down the line know what they are supposed to do in most situations because the handful of guiding values is crystal clear. You have values that you follow: innovation, timekeeping. All these are known. So there's no need for manuals, big manuals, policies to guide employees. It's clear. They know values, attitudes, and how they must behave within the organizational setting, and how they should face the external environment or relate with members outside the organization. Culture, it promotes system stability by encouraging a shared sense of identity and commitment. Culture encourages lasting integration and cooperation among members of the organization. It enhances social ability by holding the organizational members together, by providing them appropriate standards for which the members should stand for. It shapes behavior by helping members make sense of their surroundings. Helps to explain why things occur the way they do. Organization culture is not fully visible, but felt. At a less visible level, culture reflects the values shared by organization members. Let me repeat. It shapes behavior by helping members make sense of their surroundings. Help to explain why things occur the way they do. Organization culture is not fully visible, but felt. You cannot see it, but you feel it. You see, these people are friendly. They are family-oriented. At the end of the year, they join together, they have a party, end of the year party. So they are bonded. You feel, you have that feeling. You see the way they talk, the way they communicate, the way they attend their customers. At the less visible level, culture reflects the values shared by organizational members. It provides boundary. A culture differentiates one organization and another, creates distinction between the organization and the other organization. Such boundary helps identify members and non-members of the organization. Serves as a control mechanism that guides and shapes the attitude and behavior of organization members. For example, if you go to a mosque and you have never been there, people will know you are not a member of that organization because you don't share the culture. If you go to the church and you have never been there, you're a Muslim, you won't be able to relate with those people. Hence, people will quickly realize that you don't share their values. The same with a different organization. If you are a member of the Open University, maybe you behave a little bit different from a guy from the University of Dar es Salaam. It helps organizational members to conform to conformity and the expected mode of behavior. Culture ensures that everyone thinks and behaves in a prescribed manner. When you have a culture, you behave in a certain way. If you go to bank, the way they dress, they have this necktie, they have this, they are well dressed. You know this is a banker. If you go to a bank and you find that somebody is very rough, you will not handle your money. You will say, oh, I can't go to that bank. Those guys, they are very rough. They cannot keep my money. So, the culture organization members, the culture helps organization members to conformity and to conform. And they expected to have a certain behavior. A certain behavior is expected of them. Culture ensures that everyone thinks and believes in a prescribed, he thinks and behaves in a prescribed manner. So, in organizational culture, there are things you can see. For example, observable artifacts of culture. There are things you find in the church you don't find in the mosque. There are things you find in the bank you don't find in the university. There are things you find in the police force you don't find in another social organization. For example, symbol of culture in the physical and the social work environment. They include organizational heroes, example, past leadership style. Model behavior is a powerful tool. Is powerful in an organization. So, there are rituals, there are rites. Example, presentation of certificates at convocation ceremony in the university. Certain dress logo can reflect the value and the orientation. For example, if you see a police officer, there is the way they dress, the shoes, everything reflects the type of organization, the type of culture of that particular organization, the police force. Shared values are the heart of the organizational culture, can prove to be competitive edge over other competitors. For example, if you have an organization which is innovative, and an organization which forces its employee to keep time, time consciousness, they are time conscious. This organization will outperform other organizations which have a culture of laziness, a culture of not keeping time. Common assumption, employees over a period of time form within themselves a common culture. For example, in certain companies particularly, punctuality is embedded in the organizational culture. For example, a bank, you have to be punctual. But the other organization, that is not part and parcel of their culture. So, organizations set specific objectives to be achieved. In order for this objective to be achieved, communication is very sorry. So, culture is very important to any form of organization, be it private or public organization or government organization. It enables organization to have an identity. It helps an organization achieve its goals. So, my dear colleagues, you must now think what type of culture is found in an organization. Do you have a culture of punctuality? Does your organization encourages innovation? So, culture enables an organization to perform, and if you have a weak culture, you will face problems and won't be able to achieve organizational objectives. So, my colleagues, having discussed all the concepts, we have gone through organization structure and design. We have gone through organization culture and organization climate. These are very important in helping organization achieve its goals. I now encourage you to revisit the literature and read a lot about organization structure and design, organization culture and climate, because these are essentials in this program. Thank you very much.